So Trump won the election pretty handily, and markets are loving the fact that this was a decisive victory. So let's take a look at the charts and the data to see where markets could be going next. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris in an aggressive win, wide margins across the board, winning the Electoral College and the popular vote for the first time since 2004. And you also have JD Vance going to be the next vice president. And honestly, this was a more aggressive win than I anticipated. All of the probabilities said that Trump was going to win, but I did not think it would be this decisive. The last iteration seemed to drag on forever. I don't know if that was just because of COVID or the weird numbers that we saw really across the board from the electorate, huge numbers of ballots coming in last iteration, but this time seemed more in line with the norms, and Trump became the 47th president. And really the biggest takeaway for markets is that there is no indecision. He won handily, and the uncertainty has been priced out of the market. And they say this was a campaign like no other, obviously, with the multiple assassination attempts, the swelling of public support from people like Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy, and others supporting. And you did not really see that same kind of support behind Kamala Harris. Either way, markets loved it, and the uncertainty is being priced out. Moving over to fear and greed, we stepped all the way from a 43 in fear all the way up into greed at a 58. Massive, massive swing. If you've been watching the markets, it was straight up all day. Massive move. Extreme greed here on momentum. Strength seeing a slight step up, but still in fear. Breadth still in fear. Flattening out here. We've been watching Breadth step up a little bit over the last couple days. Put call ratio did not pull back a whole lot. We still have the FOMC coming up. Volatility fell through the floor after the results were pretty definitive. Safe haven demand, extreme greed, junk bond demand cratering here, still in extreme greed. Moving over to the economic calendar for tomorrow, you do have initial jobless claims, a little bit of data here with the Atlanta Fed GDP, labor costs, as well as the FOMC statement, of course, and conference expecting a 25 basis points cut. You also get Fed balance sheet, which continues to decline. And then for the Friday, Michigan data, as well as Michigan sentiment and consumer expectations, really not a whole lot. But Thursday, definitely going to be interesting with the FOMC. Moving over to max pain, big step up here to 578. So it seemed like yesterday was a little bit of an out of the ordinary move. We're back into a more normal range, 578. I think it was 580 2 days ago. Yesterday was crazy. I think it was down in the 565 area. But now we're back into that more normal range. Still bearish from here. Still very concerned about 12 days from now at that 400 level. Obviously, I don't think we're going to go down 30% in that time frame, but interesting to see it. I wonder what kind of effect that's going to have in markets over the next 2 weeks. But for now, seems like we're okay. Slightly bearish still here on max pain. We'll see if markets can maintain these gains. And then moving over to the charts, obviously we had a massive day. If you were watching markets at all, it was a huge gap up overnight. You can see that push 2.5% on the day. Gapped from around 577 all the way up into the 588, 589 area. Gapped all the way through to the all-time high. Found support at this previous high here and then ended up rallying right through, closing near the top. Watching this trend line now, you got a trend resistance somewhere around 595.80, 596, somewhere in there. Momentum back to bullish, volume here breaking out, RSI breaking out, everything looks back to bullish. So we ended up holding that 55 EMA, a little bit of a breakdown into it off of this channel, and now we're back up into it. We'll see if we can hold those gains going into tomorrow or not. And then here's what that kind of looked like. The massive run overnight, pulled back, hit the level 585.91, touched that briefly, and then rallied right up here basically throughout the session, straight up here, up into our new all-time high, which was at 591.93. We're pulling back slightly after hours, a little bit of volume there, nothing crazy. Definitely overbought. We'll see if it gives back any of this move. Realistically, even if it did, you would expect this to stay bullish, hold the higher low, and then continue higher. So everything looks like a flip back to bullish after the results of the election. Then moving over to the Tasty charts here, you can see we're back into bullish conditions. I just wanted to highlight the fact that we are extremely overbought, as you would expect. Massive day, way over through the upper bands. ATR trailing stop right now, 577.79. We'll see if we can hold these kind of gains or if it's just sideways choppy, allowing the indicators to catch up. Huge volume, huge momentum, so you would expect it to hold up. Obviously, new all-time highs, so price discovery there. In terms of levels, 8 EMA, you'd want to see that support price if it did pull back a little bit. That's at 584.03 right now. But again, a little bit extended. I would expect a little bit of sideways choppy. Moving over to the NASDAQ here, you can see even bigger day, 2.7%, huge move, gapped up, push through all these levels. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish, big volume as you would expect. This is a new all-time high here for the NASDAQ, so we eclipsed this high back here from July, back above all the trend lines as well. Realistically, you'd have to push out this trend line here, and maybe that gives us a target up in the 526 area. We'll see if that rally can continue, but everything broke to the upside, so we'll see if we can get continuations. Pulling back just slightly after hours, but nothing crazy, and everything continues to look good going into tomorrow's session. And then looking at that short time frame, you can see pushed right through here, retested the level, pushed right to the next one, broke out here. Now looking for just a slight retest in that 504.40 area. Test some of these levels, maybe hit 503.50, touch there. Hold support and rally, that's what I would be looking for. Momentum fading, RSI obviously overbought on the short time frames, so maybe you see a little bit more pullback, but this is a change in conditions. I would expect this to continue to go higher. Even if we did see slight pullbacks, I would expect that higher low setup. And everything continues to look good here, especially after yesterday's session into today's session. Moving over to the NASDAQ here for the Tasty charts, you can see we gapped right to the upper band, held support here, rallying up. Everything looks basically the same as the SPY, super overbought, but still super bullish, huge volume throughout the session. Seeing a little bit of fading momentum towards the end of this, but your 8 EMA is sitting there at 584. That's the zone you would want to see hold. That's also right here at these previous highs. Want to see that hold as well. Wouldn't shock me to see just a little bit of pullback, but again, bullish conditions across the board. Higher low setups would be buying opportunities in my opinion. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, these actually had the best days by far. The Russell had a massive day, 5.79%. You can see most of that was the overnight gap up. The actual candle itself was not a huge move, but massive run there. You can see pulled back all the way down to the 232.70 area, so that gave you a little bit of a buying opportunity. But look at the volume, absolutely massive, about 3 times normal volume, big momentum, very close to those all-time highs. You can see up around that 241.50 area. So Russell almost to all-time highs. This has been the laggard, but now it is definitely the top performer here today. Interesting. I don't know if that's just uncertainty or if there's some policy that's driving that, but either way, the Russell continues to look very good. And Dow was actually in the middle at 3.5%. Let's go ahead and extend out this trend line, see if we're going to get a touch there. Trend resistance up around 441.12. Again, momentum very much swinging to bullish. We were spying this early, saw those steps starting to form, and then the Tuesday session was strong, but obviously nothing could have really prepared you for the move that we ended up getting here today. Right back into these zones of resistance, nearly at the trend resistance already. But again, everything still looks very bullish. We'll see if this can continue over the next coming days, or if we're going to get some sideways choppy or some pullbacks. Who knows? Could go either direction. These kind of moves are pretty dramatic and they can do pretty much anything. Trend support right now for the Dow would be around 528.60. Moving over to some charts that look slightly more normal, you got the Mag 7 up 3.3%, right back to the all-time high here at 290.65, stopped right on it. The closing price was 290.64, so nearly to the penny, right at that level, which is the all-time high back here. Obviously, we've overthrown it once back on Wednesday last week, but we stopped right at it. Momentum swinging to bullish, RSI swinging to bullish. We'll see if we can continue to break out here. If it does, I think this is going to accelerate here pretty big to this upside here pretty soon. If it rejects from here, that's going to be quite bearish. That would be a triple top at this point. So we'll see. Critical zone here for the Mag 7. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple was still down on the day, 0.33, momentum flat, RSI still bearish. So not everything did benefit super aggressive from this election result. You can see we touched the level 224.36, overthrew it pretty decently, filled the gap back to here and then pulled back, ended up negative on the day. So Apple still not the best opportunity in markets. And then Microsoft performed as you would kind of expect from this. Very powerful day in markets. Underperformed the NASDAQ at 2.12% to the upside, but momentum swinging, RSI, critical zone here, waiting to see if it rejects from there or not. Also, you can see this consolidation of resistance. Tons of EMAs and SMAs right in the same zone around 420. Closed at 420.18. Right now it's at 419.99. See if it rejects from here. If it does, that's going to be super bearish. Big breakdown again, retest. We'll see if that ends up as resistance. See if we end up getting the head fake here, but it could absolutely be propped up by markets just being generally bullish, even if this structure is quite bearish. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA, Tesla had an absolutely massive day. We said this was going to hold even going into the election results, but then you got Elon backing President Trump, and now Trump is elected, so Elon is benefiting from that. Is that fake? Is that real? Who knows? But markets seem to like it, at least for now. Massive gap up, nearly 15% higher, huge volume, big momentum, pushing towards this trend resistance here around that 300 area. My level is 301.99. And then let's go ahead and expand out this NVIDIA trend. Got a big move here as well, 4%, outperform markets, new all-time high close as well. For NVIDIA, pushing toward this trend around the 150-130 area. Momentum swinging to bullish, RSI breaking through the SMA. Everything looks good there for NVIDIA. And really both of these rocketed here today. Moving over to Alphabet and Amazon. Amazon actually had a very small gap, but then it rallied throughout the session, 3.8%. Broke through the level here, so that should have been the trigger at 255. We talked about that level yesterday. Drove right through it, almost hit our trend at 208.33. Tomorrow, that trend's going to be a little bit higher, 208.50. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish, overbought now at this point. That would have been the price target pretty much almost to the penny already. So see how that plays. And then looking at Google, I ended up jumping into Google because I liked this setup here. We talked about how I liked it. Obviously, I was not able to get in at a great price, but it still continued to go higher from the price that I got. So still a good opportunity. I was looking for the target here at 179.42. We'll see if it can break through there or not. Either way, I like this setup. Still holding this position, and we'll look at that later. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, clearly the economy and the markets had a huge preference in this election. This is the markets telling us that risk is definitely on. Staples falling 1.6% while discretionary is rocketing 3.2%. Huge moves in either direction. Again, I didn't expect such a huge move, so I didn't throw any levels in here. You have to go back to the all-time highs. Makes sense. We're kind of in the middle of this range. The all-time high is there at 215.06. At this point, it seems like we're probably going to touch it before this slows down. Let's go ahead and throw a level in here. We'll go with 210.43. This is the high from that Wednesday, the 24th of November from 2021. We have to go all the way back to 2021 to get that level. There's probably one in between those two, but that's the one we're looking at right now. And then you got staples headed towards this lower band. Hit that on the trend, looking for that 144 at 79.13. We'll see if it bounces from here. This was support the last time, but 144 seems like a bigger play, especially with the huge down move here today. So right now, 210.43 for discretionaries. If that breaks, 215 just above that. Moving over to financials and real estate. Financials was the top sector here today, 6.08%. Massive move. Huge gap from around the 46.70 area all the way to 49 and then continued to run during the day. Obviously all-time highs, obviously price discovery, massive move. Look at that volume, 153 million shares. The previous day was 35 million. So massive volume. Financials absolutely taking it here today. And then interestingly, real estate did not appreciate this move. So we must have seen interest rates and we must have seen the dollar maybe going a little bit higher on this result. Real estate does not do super well when interest rates are staying high. Need to see interest rates go a little bit lower, value that dividend a little bit more, but real estate not loving it, ended up down on the day 2.67%. Moving over to RIOT and Mara, both of these rocketing here today. Mara up 18, almost 19%, and then RIOT 26.16%, huge volume. Trump is a big supporter of crypto, and these are benefiting from that now. You can see RIOT probably headed to the 14 area after the slight pullback. And then looking at Mara, broke the level. It's right at the 200. I'll be watching this one closely. Let's go ahead and throw that alert just above current price. If this breaks, I think this could have another very strong day. Momentum stepping to bullish, a huge volume, RSI breaking out. Everything looks good for both of these. We've been talking about this base here for a while on Mara. I think it's going to continue here. Just watching that one closely tomorrow. Moving over to breadth, 20 and 50-day breadth, gapped up and dojied, pretty much flat within this same consolidation here for the 20-day breadth, right in the same range, right through the 51 level, and then looking at 50-day, gapped right to that 62.25 level, threw a big wick to the downside, ended up holding up, momentum swinging to bullish, RSI breaking out, so probably going to see a little bit more on this over the next couple days. Should give markets a little bit more boost. Moving over to the 2-year and the 10-year, these continue to go higher here today. It's going to be interesting to see what these do after the FOMC tomorrow, after we do get that next rate cut. That'll bring rates down to that 4.75 area, which is only 50 basis points above where the 2-year is sitting. Where in 2 years, we're expecting this to be around 3.5, maybe even a little bit lower. but right now it's sitting right around that 4.25 area. I still expect it to reject from here, but markets think this is going higher, at least for now, especially with the election results. 10-year breaking clean through that 4.35 level, headed towards 4.5. Again, markets going up, yields going up, the dollar going up. Everything seems a little bit weird right now, but again, trade the markets that you have. Moving over to the dollar, absolutely colossal day here, 1.61%. You don't see that very often. The dollar going straight up for basically the first 3 hours of the session. 6 o'clock, 7 was flat, and then the 8 o'clock candle, absolutely massive. So starting to price in those election results. Hitting the trend line here, that was our next target if 104.4 broke. And sure enough, hit that level, nearly hit 105.5. Momentum step into bullish, RSI right at the SMA. So interesting. If it's going to reject from here, it's going to do it there. But obviously, this is a huge move. Another clean break through some of these levels. And it seems like the dollar is going to continue to go higher, in my opinion. Moving over to bonds, J&K going higher. This is kind of a risk on style indicator. The last 2 days have been huge buying, so markets are assuming more risk here in the short term. And then TLT, big gap down with yields going higher. The level is 89.16. Never got above my target there at $93. Touched it once, broke down, so I never got into this trade. Ended up breaking down from here, which is unfortunate, but you like to see that. Those non-trigger hitting style moves, so it didn't pull me into this and then break down and hit a stop or anything. So that's nice of markets. See if it can hold up here at the next level. Again, I think the FOMC is going to push this higher tomorrow, but I've been kind of wrong on this, so who knows? We'll see if this can continue to just fall through the floor. After getting all the way up to 101.50, we're right back into this 90 range. Same range we were back in April, all the way up until around the July timeframe. Moving over to the VIX. The VIX gap down massive, 21, nearly 21%. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, gapped right to that 200 SMA at 15.79. It's still holding up fairly decent considering the massive gap down. This actually takes you still above this previous low here from September, right into the zone of support. Wouldn't shock me to see this go a little bit higher on the FOMC, but once the FOMC and the election results are all the way done, I would expect this to kind of pull back a little bit. Maybe that gives equities a little bit of strength, but seems like this structure is at least broken for now. Moving over to my accounts, I managed to squeeze out a couple $100 on the day, considering that it was a huge gap up overnight. Not usually the best opportunity, but at least it continued to run during the session and close relatively close to the highs. So that put me in good position. Like I said, I jumped in on Google, sold the 177.5 covered call here for $1.18. So that puts my max profit at 178.60, which is about 30 cents higher from current price. Would love to see this go this week, which would constitute about another $80 or so, which would give me about a $230 profit on that position. I would love to take that for just a couple days of trading. And then looking at the IWM, I sold a put early at $234 for $2. Markets held up, rolled it up here to $236 for $1 for tomorrow's session. As long as this continues to hold, I'll be fine holding this stock. If I end up getting a sign, that's fine as well. No issues. Staying bullish on the IWM for now. I wanted to be bullish the whole time, but like I said yesterday, I let those shares go and that was a mistake. And then looking at the Qs, I had puts and calls going in. Rolled the puts up, made money on that, and then looking at the covered call here now for the Monday session at 5:02, $5.82 credit, so max profit on that is $507.80, so that gives me about another $2 of potential upside through the Monday session. Either way, good position, everything looks good here. Over the next couple days, staying relatively bullish, but not too exposed where if markets did pull back slightly that I would get too chewed up. So I like my positions, still staying relatively cautious, but still bullish for now. Let me know down in the comment section what you think of the election. Are you glad it's over? Did your team win? Who really cares as long as we make money? Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.